Hey guys, Colby here, back with another raid video. The last few days have been crazy with everything going on with the primal shards, the primal quartz, the guarantees, the 10x's, the 2x on the primals, but without the mythicals in it. Everything has been going crazy. So I thought this video would be a little bit different. Let's have a brainstorming round. That's how they call them, right? When you think about ideas on how to get things right, how to make things right, this will be the video for today. I want to hear your opinions also on the comments. These are just some thoughts I had over the last couple of days, actually, when I was thinking, how can the population of raid, the majority of players out there who are mostly affected by these changes, get some benefit back from raid, adjusting some things into the game for the benefit of, you know, the whole raid population, right? The player population. So let's get this thing started. I made this cool little list that I still haven't started writing anything on, but I do have some of my thoughts in there and I will be sharing with you. So this is the raid gotta make it right list. This is the raids gotta make it a right list. This is how it's gonna be called, the video for today. I can't wait to see the comments for this one. Am I gonna be called a shield? Am I gonna be called a paid PLARIUM employee again? I wonder. So let's get started. So the first thing that I thought of that would make the majority of players out there be very excited about would be the introduction of empowerments. Yes, that is not something new, but for epic champions. Currently you cannot empower an epic champion to make it better. It's only legendaries. It makes the legendaries 10 times better than epics at the moment. And for obviously well, not obviously, but there's no reason not to have epics in here. I don't understand why epics are not here. Epics can be acquired much easier than legendaries because of the higher chances. You can even get them through fusions and then keep the copies from them there instead of going for the fusion at the end. So you'll have multiple copies of a champion. An empowerment at a +2 for a legendary currently gives them, look at this, +10 speed, a good amount of attack. I think it's 20% attack, good amount of health, good amount of defense, and extra resistances and accuracies. If you make it so that epics can get a +2 empowerment, let's say that's the maximum, instead of the +4, have them at a +2 be the maximum, that will bring in a lot of players the ability to improve on their champions that they have. They'll make their seer stronger without needing to actually make it stronger, just using the copies of seer as an example. Make their geomancer tankier, make the royal guard do a little bit more damage, because then you can focus on other stats. You'll have more speed now, so you can focus on other stats instead and drop down your speed from your gear, so you put in more crit damage and you go around that route with every single epic that you might have copies of. Of course, the brand new players will not be affected by this because it's very hard for them to get copies of an epic, but it will be something that they can have in their minds for the future to make their epic stronger. And then we can even see some additional stats added instead, maybe like a 5% crit rate for epics on the +2 empowerment. That would be nice to get them a little bit going compared to the legendaries, because at the moment they're really outshined by how strong the +4 legendaries are. So going back to the list, let's go with epic empowerment +2. That's number 1 in my list for today. Let's go for number 2. What do I have number 2 written down? So this is something that I've mentioned many times before in videos. I still don't understand why raid hasn't changed this. This is a 2018 in the making. The market and the gem mine, these are the obvious things that need to change, and this would make so many more players happy. Just add 6-star gear, add some way to get books, even if it's not legendaries here, but at least with the price tag here of silver. Add something to the market that makes sense for us, the players who have been playing the game for more than a year. If anything, this market becomes obsolete after a point. It just makes no sense to have this at such a bad part of the game. This needs to be improved. Obviously, make an upgrade to it. Make it a purchasable upgrade. Even with gems, you make it stronger and stronger. You get 6-star gear, even mythical gear, maybe even books, up to an epic book from the market here for the silver cost. That would be amazing. And the gem mine here, add something, maybe add silver mine to it, or add books. A way to get books from the gem mine. Maybe it's a book that slowly becomes complete, like 100% of one book in, let's say, a week. It takes you a week to get a, I don't know, an epic book, 2 weeks for a legendary, or a month for a legendary book, something, Plarium, that makes sense. I'm not even going to talk about the sparring pit. I think this is okay, but at least give us something, and I think this would be a good starter point. The mine and the market, these two seem like something that could be done. So let me just copy. I copy from one document to the other just for this one. So the market and gem mine upgrade, time to do that. Books acquired through there, 6-star gear and all that. All right, so that is point number 2. Let's go point number 3. What would point number 3 be? Well, this is something that brings me back to the content that we have in the game. What kind of content do we love in the game? And what kind of content do you guys love to see in this game? If you think that getting new legendaries, getting new mythical champions, that is content, you are absolutely 100% wrong. And I'll prove you wrong right now with this point. When you go and type in something on YouTube that you're interested in, or you see a video on your subscription list from one of your favorite content creators, either me or whoever, right? When do you click on it? Do you click on it when you see, oh, mythical champion? Maybe at the first video, but after a while that gets old, because mythical champions, even some legendary champions, void champions specifically, you'll see the video, it's okay, but you know it's gonna be very hard for you to get them. But what is actual content for you? Things that you're already doing in the game. Clan boss, you're already doing that. And Doom Tower. Doom Tower, since this was out in 2019, I want to say, this has been a hit with Plarium. This is the best thing in the game in terms of content. I can make videos on the Doom Tower, honestly, with different setups, on and on and on. And a new content creator can come in with a new team that he thinks of to beat one of the bosses that we have, the 6 bosses. And that video will still get views. It's not an oversaturated area of the game. Things are very interesting in the Doom Tower. You get lots of rewards, lots of different teams out there. People love to compete in this one. There are rankings in here. So what does Plarium need to do? They need to introduce another difficulty here. Normal, we have hard, add a nightmare, or call it mythical, with a mythical champion as a reward through the secret rooms. Add more rewards in there, like mythical Doom Tower gear that you can craft with new materials. Do that, Plarium. Add maybe 2 new bosses in there instead of the ones that we have, and you'll see people again be very, very interested into finishing off the Doom Tower and getting even more rewards. That is the way to go. 100%. That will be the content that players will love. To go in there, they'll watch the videos, they'll participate, they'll be active, they'll be interested. This is missing from the game at the moment. And I'm just going to tell you guys that the Nightmare Doom Tower was data mined years ago, that they were planning to do it, but something in their plans changed and they didn't release it, or they didn't go ahead with it. So the Nightmare Doom Tower would have been just even more difficult Doom Tower, but for some reason they didn't release it. Of course, that was like a data mine, or that was hints from developers to know those messages that some people would get. I don't know how accurate that is in terms of the truth, but I could see it as something that Plarium was planning, but then they ditched it for other things that bring in more monetization, like empowerment, ascension of gear, and, well, the primal shards that we have right now. So that's it for point number 3. Let's go back to my trusty list and add this in there, because it does make absolute sense, doesn't it? All right, mythical gear for Doom Tower Nightmare, Doom Tower rotation. Let's go to point number 4. Point number 4 is gonna be all about Soulstone. Soulstones is something that is great for the whales, not so good for the newer players, not at all actually, until they start beating on the Iron Twins a little bit. But this needs to change a little bit. The wish list needs to change. They need to boost on the chances here, because 2x chances of getting souls for specific champions that you need here. This absolutely sucks. This probably is the worst thing on my list at the moment, but it's something that I thought of. This needs to be better. This needs to be like a more achievable kind of thing that you add. The wish list, maybe they should add it onto shards. So I will say that this needs to be something that Plarium tends to add the wish list to Soulstones with greater odds here, and maybe also add wishlist for here for normal shards. We have 800 champions, Plarium. in this game at the moment. 800 champions. So adding a wish list is not out of the realm of possibility. So back to my list. Improve. I'm gonna add just improve wish list on Soulstones and add wish list shards, right? So let's go to point number 5. Point number 5 is very close to what I've just mentioned. I think the Iron Twins needs to be adjusted a little bit. I think this is currently a very, very expensive part of the game that although it's more about the whales, I think many more players would be satisfied with a decreased cost for the refills of the fortress keys. Make this 50 gems, not 150 gems. 50 gems, you can possibly with clan boss loot, with the daily gems that you get through the mine, you can actually get 50 gems per day, right? But 150 gems, you gotta pay. So this is not feasible for the majority of players out there to be refreshing this one. So it is slowly but surely creating gaps between the players. So players cannot refresh this except for Sundays at the moment, because it's going to cost them a lot of gems. And of course, that's money. PLARIUM's going to think, oh, I'm going to be losing money. But no, actually players might still be interested to be refreshing. And if they're close, they might even be buying Soulstones. There needs to be like a better system for players to be acquiring the souls for their champions. Souls bring in a lot of power, and that is currently something that is missing for the majority of players, is good souls for their champions. And the market here is not really giving it to them that easily. It's very random on when the souls appear, and it's very difficult to acquire both the immortal soul essences and the eternal soul essences, even though we have them as part of rewards and events and tournaments. Kind of frequently at the moment, but still not as easy as you would expect. So point number 6, since point number 5 was about Iron Twins and 4 basically on Soulstones as well. Point number 6, I would say, is something that has been totally forgotten in the game, and this was added with a promise. This was added in the promise by PLARIUM. They've said that this would be a rotating shop. They didn't have plans at the time this was launched. But ever since, they didn't even bunch here. They didn't even move in terms of adding something to this list to change it, promise a change or anything, add a champion here that could be acquired by players out there. This is, of course, something very difficult for new players and mid-game players to do, get copies of champions. But let's imagine a shop with a lower cost here, maybe 500, which is one dupe copy. Let's say you could use that 500 to get maybe fragments for a missing fusion, or a fusion that you were close but not so close. Let's say you were at 95 fragments or 90 fragments, and with the 500 tokens there you could acquire the remaining 5 or 10 fragments to finish off the fusion. That is something that is missing from the game. A rotation to the shop there, or add lower cost purchases here. Make this worth it. Make this worth it. Currently is okay. It does have some good champions here. Morley is okay. Tomb Lord is okay. Everything else, especially Minaya, and I would even say Fushan. Fushan is very, very niche in terms of his use. Sir Nicholas has been overshadowed currently with other heroes, and Foley is okay, but again, there's better things in the game. So a rotation, add something else to the shop would be the way to go. So yeah, token trader, completely forgotten. Add more champions here, plus fragments for champions we have not fully acquired yet. So point number 7, since PLARIUM loves this new addition to the game, they love this, the Primal Quartz. Oh my god, PLARIUM said, we're gonna give you the opportunity to craft primal shards. Well, PLARIUM, if you have that ability to create this content, you might as well add ancient quartz, void quartz, and sacred quartz. Why am I saying this? Make it easier for players now to acquire ancients, voids, and sacreds as well. At the same time, you can acquire primal shards. Add that into the loot. When I say add, do not have it as a possible drop raid. Add it to the loot of Hydra. Add on top. So every time you open up that loot box, you get ancient quartz, void quartz, sacred quartz, all together. It can be 10 quartz, it can be 20 quartz, whatever. Add it to the pool. Do not have it as a possible loot instead of the primal quartz. That is what I'm saying. Not as a choice, as an addition. Plus, okay? Before anybody goes crazy in the comments. So that would be no, that's the same point. Let me copy the correct point. So point number 7 is primal quartz is nice and all, but adds ancient, ancient void sacred quartz to the rewards as well. That is, I think, a really solid point that they could do, but this falls more into the never. This is never gonna happen, which is kind of sad if you think about it. And then let's go to point number 8. What is point number 8, Cold Brew? Well, this is also something that has been forgotten in the game. This was also added in 2019. The last time they added something was Razin in here, and Broadmow. I think Broadmow was after Razin, but we haven't seen a guaranteed fusion added to this store since many years now. This is part of the other things that Raid has forgotten or chose to forget. They just add things, then they move on to add other things to the game, which is crazy. You have all these fusions which are okay at the start of the game, but especially Relic Keeper, this is a 2018 champion. I haven't seen a use for a Relic Keeper since forever. So add some more champions, add a use for maybe players have been vaulting epics or rares on their account for a long time now. Add some kind of use for those through guaranteed fusions. Maybe those fusions can help them with faction wars, with Doomtar, with anything. Just add more guaranteeds. I mean, at this point, you have nothing to lose and only things to gain from doing this. Seriously though, it will only make people happy. I can't see anybody being unhappy about more guaranteed fusions added here. There's absolutely no reason why anybody would complain about this. So that was point number 8. Just have an additional use for those players who have more dead champions or vault champions. That's how I consider some of these champions, like dead champions. They're just sitting in the vault doing nothing and just vault space, really. So let's go. 2 more points left. Point number 9. I would say this is something that wouldn't affect me at all as a player, but add more tournaments or events where champions like rares or epics can be acquired through tournaments, through competition. Add only 50 players to the competition instead of the usual 100, or sometimes they do 200, I think. Usually they do 100, but sometimes they do 200. Yeah, like this one, it's 100, but add more epics or rares in the competition. Have that, but for players under level 80, under level 60, so that they have more things to aim for. Because fusions are not easily being done by new players. Fragment collection is the same thing. It's very difficult for them, but add those things for the newer players. I won't be affected. I won't care. I won't even see those tournaments, but add those to those players. You have the ability, PLARIUM, to add tournaments for specific players out there. So might as well go for it. Okay, might as well go for it. That's going to help a lot of players out there. This will not affect me at all. This is just for the new people, honestly, that play the game, or even the players who are still, playing the game. So that was point number 9. And then let's go to the final point. This is something that doesn't even need to be mentioned, honestly, but this is what they need to do. They need to provide an event schedule for the upcoming 4 or 5 days. Same thing they do with fusions. They just need to do it. At the moment, they introduce events suddenly to force spending. Example is the Seer guaranteed right after a CP 10x. So this is an example of today, right? So today, what did they do? They went and pushed out a Seer guaranteed at 40 voids right after a CP 10x. So they see the numbers. They see, okay, players have summoned lots of their voids to go for CP. They have 0 voids now. What do? We push out a Seer guaranteed so that players lose out on Seer and they are more tempted now to purchase voids. Will this ever happen? Well, I don't know. Would they ever put an event where we see in the future, okay, Tuesday we're gonna have CP 10x, but Thursday there's a Seer guaranteed, so I might as well wait out on my voids, or who cares? I'm gonna go for my voids now since the guarantee that is coming is not worth it. what we have at the moment is sometimes we creators get the news of a guaranteed coming, but the seer one is an example of surprise everyone, we have a guaranteed seer event. So they should add an event schedule. Just add it here. There's so much room here for things. Oh, there's a YouTube tab here. I can click and I can see my raids YouTubers. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Oh, I can click this one and actually see the events that are coming in the next couple of days. That would also be amazing. So I don't even know what they added so much space here when they're not actively using it. Anyway, guys, these were my 10 points. Just to go over them again in case you skipped it. Let's have a look at what I've mentioned and close off the video. This is the raids gotta make it right list. Epic empowerment +2 makes sense. Market gem mine upgrades, come on. Mythical gear from Dutar makes sense. You've been adding mythical gear left and right lately. Improve wishlist on Soulstone to add a wishlist for shards. Again, makes total sense. Lower the refresh cost on Iron Twins, 150 per day at the moment. It's huge. It's like you're requesting players to actively spend every single day with this one, and you are, you know, forcing players to either stop spending completely or reconsider their spending. Token trader, completely forgotten. I mean, same thing with the fusions. Primal quartz is nice. Add ancient void, sacred quartz. It makes sense. Add more guaranteed fusions for players to aim, all right, and then bring more tournaments to lower level players, and then finally an event schedule. Well, these were my points, guys, for the raid make it right list. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.